Contact sheets, yes or no? I say yes, always, and I'll tell you why. Well, first reason is because the physical archive is super practical. You happen to have thousands of images on your computer, divided in many folders. How easy is that? How to find it, open it to a program. It can be bothersome. And also you see something on a monitor that maybe is not the proper way to see a film image. So this is one reason. The other reason is that from the contact sheet, you can have some precious technical information about your negative that will be very useful in printing, but this happens only at a certain condition. And the condition is that the contact sheet is made in a specifically technical way. And this is what I will show you in this video. I am Andrea Calabresi, a professional fine art printer, a long-time teacher, and a photo artist. Do you think my videos are interesting? Please share them, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on my Instagram page, my Facebook group, and also TikTok. Don't forget to write a comment. I will be very pleased to interact with you. So we will now go in the darkroom and I will show you how to make a useful contact sheet. Useful not only for the archive, but also technically. You have to keep in mind one thing first. So contact printing and the contact sheet is a contact print. It is a print, but it is very different from a print done through enlargement with the enlarger. So what changes? Tonality changes, shadow rendition changes, highlight rendition changes. So we need to find a way to make the contact print look more or as much as possible similar to the enlarged print. And this requires some technical finesse, and I will show you that. Also, it is important that in your contact sheet, you don't hide details. You might want to hide them in the final print, but it is good in the contact sheet that you have all the information recorded in the negative. So you must be sure not to hide details in the shadows and not to hide details in the highlights. And I will show you why. Follow me in the darkroom. To make contact sheet, I like to use Foma paper because it has softer highlights and slightly more contrasty shadow, and this helps making the contact sheet look more like a print. This is my preferred timer, non-timer. It beeps every second. It's very good for test strips. To begin with, we use a lower contrast than normal because contact print is higher contrast than normal, so we compensate. Now I run a test strip. I want to show you the test strip because I assume you know how to do it. It's also accelerated, but I'll let you know, film base was 6 seconds, each strip was 2 seconds. Okay, done. We develop it. Again, this is accelerated, but developer is 90 seconds, no less than 90 seconds to make it even. Stop button around 30 seconds. Okay, done. And fixer, this is 60 seconds if the fixer is on maximum strength and we're using RC paper. Fiber-based requires more. Oh, no, this doesn't work very well. It is too dark. So I run another one, closing one stop and also lowering the contrast. I lowered the contrast because the highlights were kind of okay, but the shadows were too dark, so contrast was too high. So again, another test strip with lower contrast and one stop less. Again, it's accelerated, exposure is the same as before, 6 seconds by exposure, each strip's 2 seconds. Developer again accelerated, and wanna bother you with the time it really requires. Okay, quick. Oh, there we are. Fix it finally. Again, this was 1 minute, not 5 seconds. Okay, let's see. Better, because we have
good shadows. What does it mean? That the film base is very visible. If the film base is very visible, we are sure not to hide details in the shadows. Okay, so around 12, 14 seconds is a good exposure, but the highlights are still too bright. But I run another test. I don't run another test strip. I see the whole because I want to see, because probably there is another way to fix the highlights. Okay, again, developer. In real time, it's time consuming, but music can help in the darkroom. Finally, fixer. Let's see. Okay. This is the whole contact sheet run at 13 seconds. Shadows are okay, but the highlights are too bright. I knew that, but I wanted to see it. So what we do now, lower the contrast? No, I prefer to pre-flash because it will keep me the local contrast in the shadows and will give me some density in the highlights, and also, this is more important, it will make the print look more like a normal print. So this is the last one, and I hope it is good. Again, quick. Not quick in reality, quick in the video, huh? Remember that. Okay. Remember also, don't switch the light on too soon when you're fixing, and give it the time. Okay, now it's good. The shadows are what were before, they are okay, but the highlights are good too.
Okay, this is the first test strip of our contact sheet. I can see that it is a little too dark and also a little too contrasting. Why I can say those two things? Because I have only the first strip that was 6 seconds where I can barely see the film base. Then the film base is totally cancelled. I see the highlights with details with much more exposure. So it is too contrasty for a test strip, of course. Then what we need to know that we need to have the film base barely visible, because if we make it darker, we are hiding details that we have on the negatives, but we are hiding them on the print. And on the contact sheet, we need to see all the details that we have in the shadows. We need to see all the details that we have in the highlights as well. So I reduced the contrast a bit and made a second test strip. And I also closed the aperture to reduce overall exposure. This one is much better as test strip because the first one is obviously too bright, because here the film base is super visible. At the end, the film base is cancelled, but here film base is barely visible, and that's what we need. We need film base barely visible and at the same time highlights. So this works, but the highlights are a little too bright. I don't want to reduce the contrast furthermore, okay, because then it will be too much different from the print, because contrast sheet is like printing with point light source. And this, what does it make? It increases the overall contrast. So the highlights are brighter than what they would be in printing. And also the dark tones are a bit compressed. So if we further reduce the contrast to bring this highlight out, we are gonna have quite a false impression of what would be the shadows. So I do not want to reduce the contrast anymore. And for this reason, I need pre-flashing. So I did a quick pre-flashing test. And of course, in pre-flashing, you give the maximum exposure you can give to the paper without producing an image. In this case, it was 2 seconds. So I pre-flashed 2 seconds. And then I did the last one, which is this one. It may look a bit dull, but since the film base is barely visible, I know that I didn't hide any shadow detail, and I can see all the details in the highlights as well. So this is how the contact sheet should be. No hidden detail in the shadows, all the details in the highlights visible. I told you it would be a little soft, but this gives you the information you need. You didn't hide any information that was on the negative. When you want to see what to print, for example, that you have full information and you can print it the way you like because there is no detail lost. So again, the contact sheet is very useful. It's also very practical. It is especially useful if done the way you've seen it. There is one thing I want to say always: don't trust your gear, don't trust your camera, use your brain. Thank you for watching. See you next video.